We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these rights are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. From the beginning of our nation, people have been granted the right to life. Whether a person is to live or whether the person should die should not be decided by the state. We need to abolish the death penalty because people have been wrongly accused before. If it has happened before, it could happen again. What if this time a family member or loved one of yours gets wrongly sentenced to death? Will you sit back and wait until that happens, or will you take a stand now before it's too late? I, for one, will not wait any longer. There is so much wrong about the death penalty, and today I'm going to share with you why the death penalty should be nullified. The death penalty needs to be abolished because it is unconstitutional, costly, biased, hypocritical, and irreversible. The death penalty is unconstitutional because of the Eighth Amendment. The Eighth Amendment states that people shall not be given cruel and unusual punishment. Lethal injection is one way of execution. The lethal formula contains paralyzing chemicals which prevent prisoners from expressing pain that they're in. Another way of execution is the gas chamber. In the gas chamber procedure, prisoners are locked in a closed room with toxic gases, the same ones horribly used by Hitler and the Nazis in the Holocaust, where millions of people were murdered. The gas doesn't make people die right away. It takes up to 10 minutes of suffocation for them to die sometimes. As a matter of fact, several prisoners have died from banging their heads against the wall rather than from the gas. The people smash their heads into the wall to kill themselves sooner because they can't bear the feeling like they're suffocating for as long as it takes them to die. People can also be hung in several different states. A firing squad can also be used. The firing squad consists of many armed men who point their guns at the same prisoner at the same time. Only one gun has one bullet in it. No one knows which gun has the bullet in it, so that no one has to deal with the guilt of killing a fellow American and fellow human being. Electrocution may be the most cruel punishment a person can get. People to be electrocuted are strapped to a chair. Then, intense electric shock is applied to electrodes attached to their bodies. Often, prisoners don't die after the first and second jolt of electricity. They're sometimes electrocuted 3 times for 14 minutes each time before they die. Their bodies are charred and smoldering when their heart finally stops beating. The death penalty is not democratic. It violates basic human rights. All humans are supposed to have the right to life according to the Declaration of Human Rights put together by the United Nations after the Holocaust to make sure nothing like the Holocaust would ever happen or be allowed to happen again. Civilized countries don't have the death penalty. Various nations of the Western world, like France, England, Germany, and Italy, have abolished the death penalty, yet the United States hasn't, even though they are supposedly the leaders in spreading democracy. The death penalty is not cost-effective. As a matter of fact, it is more expensive than other punishment options. Everything needed in an ordinary trial is needed for a death penalty case, and more, including more pre-trial time, more experts, twice as many attorneys, and 2 trials are conducted instead of 1. The first to determine guilt, and the second to determine punishment. Then, prisoners are kept in the high security of death row, during which a series of appeals takes place. The death penalty costs 4 times more than life in prison costs. The death penalty costs $2 million, whereas life in prison costs only $500,000. There are other punishments that should be applied instead of the death penalty. For instance, life in prison, because killing the prisoner almost gives them the easy way out. The only ones who suffer from the death penalty are the ones left behind. Or, another form of punishment could be that prisoners are made to work to give back to the community. Requiring convicts to work is not against the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. In this way, a life that can be put to good use will be put to good use for the benefit of the American people, not simply killed, a life wasted. Convicts need not to be paid for their work because they are doing the work and service for America as their punishment. In this way, America can save money on building highways and such because they won't have to pay workers. Convicts will do the work for free. On top of all the other horrible things, the death penalty is also biased. The death penalty favors letting white people off the hook. More black and Hispanic people are killed than white people, even though they only make up about 13% of the total population. 50% of the people on death row at the present time are African American, and the next 6 people scheduled to be put to death are African American as well. What happened to equality? The death penalty is not only racially biased, but biased towards people's income levels as well. Who pays the ultimate penalty for crime? The poor. Who gets the death penalty? The poor. Why do poor people get the death penalty? Because the outcome of a trial has everything to do with the kind of defense you get. Money buys you good defense, and poor people cannot afford good attorneys. Therefore, their case isn't fought as well as a rich person's case would be. The Sixth Amendment to the Constitution says that all the accused have access to the assistance of the counsel for his defense. In other words, everyone tried as a criminal is given the right and access to a government-paid attorney. These attorneys take on cases of those who can't afford private lawyers. They are overworked and underpaid, and because of this, they are not always especially good at what they do, nor sometimes do they even try to do good because they have no motivation for working for cheap. A shocking 2 out of 3 death penalty convictions have been overturned on appeal because of serious misconduct and errors by incompetent court-appointed defense attorneys. This goes to show you that the court-appointed attorney could cause an innocent person to be put to death simply because they weren't rich enough to afford a good attorney. The death penalty is incredibly hypocritical. It condemns killing by way of killing. It should not be the job of the state to seek revenge for murder. It should be the state's job, however, to punish people for killing in another way besides taking a life for a life. With revenge only comes more revenge and hatred because the family of the convicted criminal also has to suffer through the heartbreak of their son or daughter, mother or father, sister or brother's life being taken away. The death penalty is an impotent attempt to undo injustice by canceling it out with another injustice. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, Gandhi once said. The death penalty is doing exactly this. Taking a life for a life is just not right. The death penalty needs to be abolished because it is irreversible. Once you kill someone, there is no taking it back. Innocent people may be wrongly executed, and since we can't play God and revive them after their death, the death penalty should no longer be allowed to exist. Death is too final to be a punishment, whereas if given life in prison and proven to be wrongly accused, the prisoner can at least return to their life. Since the death penalty was reinstated in 1976, 82 inmates have been freed from death row. This converts to 1 death row inmate found wrongfully convicted for every 7 people executed. This leads to the conclusion that there could be more people who are innocent that we just don't know about. 25 people have been wrongfully executed since the start of this century alone. Anything that involved even one error, like an innocent person's life being taken away, is unacceptable and should be abolished. So, don't wait for someone you know to be wrongly accused. Go out and spread the word about how wrong the death penalty really is. Write letters to representatives or government officials. Hey, why not write a letter to the president while you're at it? Your voice really does matter. You just have to make it count. The death penalty needs to be abolished. Everyone is granted the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Taking away these rights is in direct violation of what our country is based upon, the Declaration of Independence. The death penalty is a violation of our rights as humans and should be abolished because it is unconstitutional, costly, biased, hypocritical, and irreversible. Abolishing the death penalty will end the hypocrisy of an eye for an eye, and America will once again rise to where she belongs as a protector of human rights.